Travel photography all done, and now for something completely different. Hi, and welcome to episode 87 of the Photography Explained podcast. I'm your host Rick, and in each episode I will try to explain one photographic thing to you in plain English in less than 10 minutes-ish without the irrelevant details. What I tell you is based on my lifetime of photographic experience and not Google. 87 episodes in, still can't say it without having to read it and sounding like I'm reading it. Before I go on, if you have a question you would like me to answer, just go to photographyexplainedpodcast.com/start. Here is the answery bit. Well, sort of. This is a bit of a different episode. I have done with travel photography, which I love talking about, over the summer months. And now that summer is over, boo-hoo, I want to change the nature of the content. After 87 episodes cobbled together in an order that came out of my head, I'm going to go back to basics for a few episodes. Let's see how things go. But in this episode, I want to quickly stop, take stock, and ask for your help and involvement. So what am I going to be talking about? Well, I'm going to answer the most frequently answered photography questions, one per episode, in plain English, in less than 10 minutes-ish. To be honest with you, I think this was the plan when I started my podcast last year, but it sort of evolved into something else, which is absolutely fine and I'm more than happy with. But I've just been thinking about things and wanted to get back to the basics, really. I did an introductory episode, which was before episode 1, and I had a quick recap in episode 10, which I think was called What Have We Learned So Far? So I feel it's fine to stop and have a think finally in episode 87. I probably should have done this some time ago. First things first, what's next? Well, the title of the next episode is, What is Manual Mode? Do I really have to learn how to use it? This is one of the most frequently asked questions in photography, which I will answer. I will tell you what you need to know and why and what you do not need to know. I will tell you if you need to be bothered about this or not, and if knowing this will help you with your photography. Of course, this is the basic format of the episodes. I also love to blow away some often-aired views on things. I give you my no-nonsense, practical, helpful answers to these fundamental questions. Not everyone will agree with me, but I do have a few years of experience and professional qualifications to back up my opinions and views. Like I say, not everyone will agree with me, but that's fine. I'm never saying I'm perfect. I'm me. These are my views. But I need your help. Yes, you, listener, I need your help. I want you to join me on this journey, dear listener. This is the journey to create one of the biggest photography podcasts on the planet, and also to create the best photography resources on my website to help photographers. Yep, aim high. There's no point aiming low, because if you aim low, you'll never aim high. So, I'm going to ramp things up a bit, and this is where I'm trying to get to. But first things first, ask me a question. If you send me a question, I will answer it. Be it a main screen question or something obscure. You come up with the titles. My hope is this. My hope is that I never come up with the title for a podcast episode. I never come up with the title for a podcast episode. How's that going to work then? Simple. I want these to come from you, dear listener. Yes, you, listening to this right now. I want each episode to be answering a question that you, as a listener, have put to me. This is much better than me coming up with questions and answering them. So if you want me to explain a photographic thing, please let me know. I really would love to hear from you, and when I answer your question, I will give you a big shout out on that episode. Just head over to photographyexplainedpodcast.com/start. Did I get that right then? That's just head over to photographyexplainedpodcast.com/start. I might have got it right the first time, I'm not sure, but as you'll be aware by now, I don't know how to edit audio, so these are all single takes. Okay then, last episode I said I had some news. Well, I do have news. Apologies, this is all about me, but it doesn't happen often. I've done a ton of work on my main website, rickmcavoyphotography.com, and I've also updated the podcast website, photographyexplainedpodcast.com. But there is more. There's quite a lot more, actually. Firstly, the podcast newsletter. I'm going to be creating a weekly podcast newsletter where I tell you what I was thinking, behind-the-scenes stuff, and any other good stuff in my head. This is the first thing that I want to do, so please sign up on the Photography Explained podcast website. Very excited to do that, so please sign up. Courses. Yes, courses. I'm working on my first course, which will be about helping photographers get started in real estate photography. I hope to have this published in the next month on one of the learning platforms. I've actually written probably 50% of it. If you go on my blog, you'll find lots of posts recently about how to become a real estate photographer. Now, this course is going to be all of the good stuff from that condensed and put into a much more logical order, along with quite a few things that I've excluded from the blog posts. Some really good stuff, really important stuff, and actually stuff that not a lot of people are talking about. So, like I say, I feel guilty making this all about me, but once in 87 episodes is fine, I think, and I hope you agree. Another course that I'm thinking of going on is on how to speak in English without making mistakes, because I make more mistakes than I'm comfortable with, to be honest with you. But Terry over there in New South Wales quite enjoys my mistakes, so shout out to you, Terry, and I'll keep on making mistakes just to make you smile. Okay, what else have I got? Products. Now, I've got a load of products in plan that I'm going to start to create and sell. Now, this is a long-term thing. I've got so many things going on in my head that I had to write them down, but this is another thing. There's checklists, sheets, all sorts of stuff. Talking of all sorts of stuff, I'm in the middle of creating a members area on my website where I will make premium content available. Now, what do I mean by premium content? Well, this will include other podcast content, my products and courses, and longer episodes of this podcast, tentatively titled Photography Explained Podcast Extra Time. You see what I did there? It's genius, isn't it? I'm also thinking about creating a community, but that is a very, very long-term thing that I'm still thinking about. It terrifies me to think about it, to be honest with you, so I'll just keep on thinking about it for a while. I've got so many things that I need to get out there. I've got about 5 other courses, which after I get the first course out, I'll have a breathe for a couple of weeks and then I'll get on to the next one. Very excited by the courses, I really am. And I hope that one of them will be of interest to you. More than me, this episode really is about you and what I can do and how I can help you. So get in touch with me, get involved. I do want this to be all about you, not me. I'm here to explain things to you. So if you send me things to explain, you get your questions answered, and I don't have to come up with titles, so we both win. This is like a personalised version of Google, because what I do to get titles is I go into Google, I have a good mooch around and find things that people are actually asking. But if you send me the questions, that for me is better than Google, and there is no higher accolade than to be better than Google. So if you send me a question, you're better than Google to me. Okay, the talky bit. Well, it's all been a bit talky, hasn't it? Let's be honest with you, but I'm going to continue with this, which I really love doing. And it was the idea behind doing the longer form podcast on the members area. I mean, I've learned so much in the first 86 episodes of my podcast, and I hope that the changes that I'm bringing in will make the next 86 episodes and beyond more enjoyable for you, and for me too, to be fair. Now, the one thing that I've enjoyed the most is hearing from listeners who've got in touch and said nice things about what I'm doing. I cannot tell you how nice it is when a complete stranger on the other side of the planet sends me an email and tells me they've enjoyed an episode. I respond to everyone who takes the time and trouble to get in touch, so please just drop me a line. And if all you want to do is say hi, that's just fine. Say hi in an email. I'll reply back and say hi, and we're all good. Now, I've heard other podcasters say this. I've heard podcasters say the same thing. It's great to hear from you. It means the world to me. It's really important. And I've got to be honest with you, I just sat there and thought, yeah, right, you're just saying that. You're saying that so you make the listeners feel valued, but you don't really mean it. But it is actually true. There's something so very special about a complete stranger telling you that they've enjoyed listening to something I've created, especially with my stumbling words. I think my stumbling words are partly dependent on quality of my script. I'm looking at typos as I'm reading this. The other part of it's down to just general incompetence on my part. Anyway, let's crack on. Something else I wanted to tell you, back to me. Do you know this? My podcast has been downloaded in 74 countries, which completely blows my mind. 74! I need to work out how many countries I've not reached yet, and no, I'm not aiming to get to every country. That's ridiculous. I'm just interested now. I've not really given it a great deal of thought, and I just checked my stats, and 74 countries. Amazing. Anyway, my aim, let's get back to my aim. My aim is to create some of the best, most helpful resources on the web to help photographers understand photography more, and in so doing take better photos. That's all that matters really, isn't it? Taking better photos. My other aim is to make my podcast one of the biggest photography podcasts on the planet. Well, I might as well aim high, and I'm not aiming to be the biggest. No, I just want to be known all over the world. Not a lot to ask, is it? Well, 74 countries is a pretty good start, isn't it? I genuinely am loving creating my thing, which is my take on photography, which is all based on my own experiences. Right, blimey, I clearly had a lot to say, and I'm glad I've got this little lot out. I genuinely feel better now. So apologies again for this episode being all about me. This is the last time for now, I promise you. And next week, normal service will be resumed and not a word about me, I promise. Apart from the what do I do bit, which I hope you find helpful. People have told me it is, because it gives them reassurance that it's what I actually do. One-line summary. My podcast is not about me. It is about you, my dear listener. And I hope that you will join me and help me in this podcast grow, along with all the other good stuff that I have planned. Okay, what's next? As I said earlier, Photography Explained podcast episode 88. What is manual mode? Do I really have to learn how to use it? My script ends. No, it doesn't end there. We're okay. Yes, manual mode, which we are all told we have to use. But do we really? And do I use manual mode? Find out all about it in the next episode. Ooh, cliffhanger. Shout out. This space needs filling, so get in touch and get your shout out on my ever-growing podcasts available all around the world. I'm done. Thanks for listening to my small but perfectly formed podcast. To find out more about my podcast and do stuff to help me, check out photographyexplainedpodcast.com/start. This episode brought to you by me and about me. I've been Rick McAvoy. Thanks again very much for listening to me and for giving me 13 3/4-ish minutes of your valuable time. And I will see you on the next episode. Cheers from me, Rick.